Yep.
Oh, you're muted, so you'll have a chance to redo your stupid opening, your terrible opening.
Actually, you know what? I am very happy that was muted because that was very silly and quite dumb. Okay, so welcome to episode 2 of Tal'Dorei Fields of Wonder. We have a really, really good time for you tonight planned. But before we get into the thick of things tonight, by the way, Jordan says, can hear all but Duval. I don't know about you all, but I think that is a great thing to be celebrating.
Yeah, that's not working. Hold on. My headset decided to say no, not tonight. 1 minute. I was going to switch everybody over.
Right. Good save.
Yes.
Okay, they can hear you now.
Anybody else wants to jump in the spanner?
Stuff.
That's great. Can we hear Duval yet?
Yeah. I think you can hear me now. Or should be able to anyway.
There we go.
Yay.
Lord have mercy.
Jordan's is great. All right, cool. So episode 2, gonna be great. We're gonna be great.
Duval gave me an extra like 5 minutes there just to
I know, right? Just to like get you settled in. That was all a bit, actually.
It was a preview of next Thursday.
Yeah.
Before we get into the fun tonight, we do have some introductions. We have some announcements and those sorts of things. So the general preview stuff. Before we get into the player introductions and character introductions, I do want to say that we now have character art thanks to the absolutely infinitely talented Gremlin art. And you should be able to see them on our Twitter. We're working on trying to get them into our overlays here pretty soon. But now that those things are live, it's very, very exciting to have some visual life behind the characters that we're portraying tonight. But let's find out a little bit more about who's playing those characters. And let's start out with Rain. Why don't you go first?
Hey y'all, I am Rain, and tonight I am playing Big Mama Mocha.
Awesome. How about you, Alex?
Hi everybody, my name is Alex Orziva, pronouns are he, him, and I'm playing Hosen Sunhell, pronouns he, him as well.
Smitty?
Smitty, he, him, playing second, they, them.
And last but not least, the man behind the technology today, Mr. Jacob.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jacob Plick, Duval King Jacob, on the internet. I use he, him pronouns, and tonight I'll be playing Cinnamon Garrist. And I love that like no one said anything about their class. That's really funny. But I'll tell you, because we're all friends here, I'll tell you that I'm playing, that Cinnabon is a Haragon Wildfire Druid.
Well, Big Mama Mocha, she is hangry. That's her class.
Respect.
Honestly, valid.
Respect.
At all times.
Yes, perfect. I actually think it's perfect that classes were not mentioned because we haven't really gotten into a point where they become infinitely obvious at the moment. So that's fine.
With the exception of me, I feel like.
And
Very true.
possibly the person turned into a giant halfling.
I mean,
Also true.
also true.
Also true.
I love it. There's no wrong answers.
But
All right.
speaking of overlays, I also wanted to mention that Happy Cap, aka Maria, did our overlays and our Be Right Back and Starting Soon screens and all those sorts of things. Fantastic. And Maddie actually did the intro and the promos, but you are going to be seeing soon. So that's So Maddie Games did those things. But I would also be remiss if I didn't also mention that we are now affiliates of Session Zero Clothing, which is a really cool place to get some TTRPG inspired clothes, as well as Start Playing, which is a really cool place where you can go and actually find games to play online in the interim of when you're waiting for Fields of Wonder to come back. I also want to mention that we do have our Discord open, which I don't know if there's a command, Jacob, for you to drop in the chat right now, but that's a great place to go ahead and do that. As well as our Ko-fi, where we are sending out GM notes to our subscribers. We're sending out character information prior to going public with that outside of things. There's also a cool place where you can do NPC and item submissions and those sorts of things as well, and access to really secret chats. But beyond all of that, I think it's probably time to go on an adventure. I still workshop that. And welcome back. So I am going to be, I'm going to be doing some things tonight. So we'll see whether or not they work. But let's start out with the recap. In last week's episode, we were given a very nice and relaxing introduction to our characters. Big Mama Mocha strolled into town and ordered herself, quote, one of everything at the local inn. Second followed closely behind her, and after striking out trying to play dice with some of the locals, ended up awkwardly joining Big Mama in her feast. Cinnabon, however, entered the story slightly differently, after waking up in the infirmary with a curious nurse looking after him, and that nurse giving some curious statements about Cinnabon's loss. Meanwhile, Hosen completed delivery of his husband's leather armor to an unlikely purchaser, who then promptly turned around and used that armor to kick off a raid of the town. But the raid seemed to be mostly focused on the food, strangely enough. Hosen faced the leader, codenamed Yeti, and after discovering that he had the ability to grow in size, led the resistance against the raiders. Cinnabon toasted some of them unexpectedly, and Big Mama covered their escape with a well-placed spike growth while violently beating the raiders up. Second, on the other hand, protected the group, especially Hosen, and stabilized the big bad when he went down. After the fight, the party began the slow process of cleaning up the pandemonium, which encouraged the rest of the town to start peeking their heads out of their hiding places, and during which Cinnabon found a note in the saddlebag of the big bad's horse, informing him that the mission to destruct was a go, and to meet back at the hideout after the job was completed, which is where we pick up the group tonight. But before I hand the reins over to you all, I want to talk to Second for a sec.
It writes itself.
Second, first of all, given what I know about Second, which isn't that much, how do they feel about this destruction that's around them at the moment?
Frightened, a little bit despairing, and adrift, confused, but maybe the smallest bit of excitement.
Do you feel that they would be hopeful?
No.
Okay. Well, it's very interesting because you are right near the place right now where you were hidden behind that table, and seeing it for a second, you start to lose your breath and your eyesight goes a little bit starry, as though you might lose consciousness. However, you're still able to remain lucid, but something appears in front of you out of the destruction as you survey this chaos. It's the figure of an older Kenku, and as your vision clears a little bit, you recognize it to be your mother. She's removing the cloak from around her shoulders and wraps you in it, saying, "Stay safe," as she does so. And then she turns and pulls a weapon from her side and charges out towards something. You're not sure. But in that momentary haze, you see something else. Up in the sky, dark clouds are swiftly becoming, obscuring the sun, and twilight overcomes terse fields almost instantaneously. But when it seems like it couldn't get any darker, a figure appears, almost manifested out of nothing, directly over the top of the man that you just saved from death, hovering maybe just a few inches off of that man's chest. And that figure, shrouded in darkness on account of the clouds, points to you with their finger outstretched, and then moves their pointed arm towards the sky. And from their hands, an orb of pure white light forms. And that orb quickly begins to emit a beam of light directly pointed perfectly vertically up at the clouds in the sky. And the clouds, receiving that beam, start to swirl around that cloud. Swirl around the beam. And the energy from that pure white light begins dissipating the clouds almost as quickly as they appeared, revealing the brilliance of the sun behind it. And as you watch the beam eradicate those clouds, then you look back at the figure. The brightness of the sky starts to quickly illuminate her face, and you recognize it immediately. It is the visage of the Everlight. And when your eyes meet hers, she briefly smiles kindly, then extends her hands back down in your direction, and you recognize that the orb she's holding is now levitating in your direction towards you. What do you do?
I reach out a hand in front of me. It slowly drifts to where my mother was, reaching out in her direction. And then I look back towards the orb. Move my hand towards it instead.
And as your hand is outstretched, the orb continues to move closer to you, still emitting that beam of light directly vertically into the sky. And if you wait a couple of seconds, it will be in your grasp.
I will wait, but visibly shaking as it approaches.
Okay. And as it touches your fingers, a couple of things happen. One is that the beam of light becomes a sort of explosion. And all of the remaining dark clouds that were ominously hovering over the top of turf fields that had immediately appeared and then began to dissipate are now completely gone. The sky is just as clear as it was a couple of hours ago. And the other thing that happens is that you feel a warmth inside of your belly. And that warmth is comforting, but it's also, to your point earlier, a little bit frightful. And I would like you to make 2 successive rolls, please. One, which would be a religion check.
Natural 1 for a total of 4.
Okay. And then the second one would be a con save.
18.
Okay. All right. Very good. So you are able to maintain your consciousness as this explosion of radiant light coming out of your hands sort of blasts you back a little bit. But you sink to the ground and you're on your knees. And the shock of having that happen to you sort of shakes your vision a little bit, and the figure that is in front of you, the clouds, the orb, your mother, have all receded, and you are back inside of turf fields with your friends standing around you, cleaning up the chairs.
I look around at them hurriedly to see if any of them seem like they saw anything. I slam my fist down on the table. Second, are you paying attention?
Cinnamon's kind of spins. I think like that's right in the middle of like right when Big Mama said, "Who the fuck is Yeti, or what the fuck is Yeti?" And then blam. And I think like Cinnamon's kind of like looks around Big Mama Mocha like with a bit of a puzzled kind of look on his face.
Second just gestures wildly around where everything was, looking at everyone, trying to get some sort of confirmation that anybody else saw anything or even understands what they're trying to say.
So, you all right there? Don't think you're alone in that one.
I'm going to crawl back under the table for a while.
While you're under the table, there's almost a phantom feeling of that cloak wrapped around you, but you can't see it. You just sort of know that it's there.
Does it bring comfort, or is it discomforting to feel this phantomness on me?
Yeah, I apologize. That was probably indelicate of me. It was implied that there was comfort associated with it.
Okay. I'll wrap my arms around myself.
What are the rest of you doing? Cinnabon, you more or less just opened up that letter.
I had actually given it to Big Mama Mocha as well. And I'll kind of whisper to her. Should we check in on this one, or?
Yeah, I guess. So Miss Mama Mocha, like leans down under the table, looks over at Second. I was like, honey, what are you doing over there again? It's all done. Come on out. Come here. And so she outstretches a hand to Second, trying to, have him come out from under the table.
And Cinnamon will kind of back up like about 2 paces just to not crowd the situation.
Hosen does the same. Yeah, Hosen backs up as well.
Slowly come out. Look at Big Mama Mocha and say, "Oh, we've opened a can of worms. Now we're going to have to lie in it."
That's another statement. By the way,
I don't eat worms.
when you're on the road for a while, you'll pretty much eat anything. Oh,
Well, I
my
was
manners.
raised a bit in a swamp.
So you don't eat worms because you saw too many?
Yes, I would use them as bait for fishing, hunting,
Makes
things like
sense.
that. But absolutely, no, I don't do worms.
Well, as my mother would say, this is one
Oh.
hell of an icebreaker. By the way, my name is Cinnamon Garrist. It's a strange to, but a pleasure to make all of your acquaintances.
Well, I say you are the cutest cinnamon bunny rabbit I have ever seen. My name
Oh.
is Big Mama Mocha, but friends of mine, which I assume that all of you all would be now, you can call me Big Mama or you can call me Mocha.
All right. Nice to meet you.
Hosen kind of steps up a little bit, just still shaken after everything, and goes, pleasure to meet you all. I cannot thank you enough for what you did back there. That was incredibly brave of all of you to step in. My name is Hosen, and I'm in your debt. Thank you. Thank you.
Mocha just
Second.
like licks her thumb and then just like rubs the cheek of Hosen, just like you just have a little skosh or something right there. Just there you go. You're a little
Hosen
dirty.
smiles and thank you, and then kind of rubs it off, just like very feels that motherly instinct, that warmth.
Right as rain.
Thank you.
Did you say that your name was Second?
Second.
Nice to meet you, Second.
Second
One hell of an
time.
icebreaker.
Don't say it.
Oh, that's quite the talent you have.
Thank you
Wow.
for protecting me back there.
Yeah, you're quite
That was,
amazing.
Incredible.
Preservation of life.
That you did.
Yeah, I'm afraid I did quite the opposite.
What are you talking about? You saved so much food. You helped get rid of the bandits. You saved so many lives today.
Yes, but kind of points to the pile of ash.
That's fair.
I got a bit carried away, it seems. And I believe this is what they call shock, because I don't think that the emotional center of me is quite processed this yet. I'm looking forward to when
if
that
it's-
happens.
Hosen kind of approaches you a little bit and goes, "If it's all right," kind of looks to everybody here. Is it okay if I give you a hug? If that's a state of shock and whatnot, it's totally understandable.
I would love a hug, actually. Yes, that would be nice. Thank you.
and gives you just like a nice hug, just a super warm hug.
He kind of holds it for a little, like, too long, and then lets it go. Oh,
And
well,
the hose.
I think, and like you see his eyes begin to well up. I think there it is. Yep, there we go. All right. Okay.
Sam, I needed that. Thank you.
I think I did too. Second, Big Mama, what about you? Whew.
I am a love of hugs. Y'all are just the cutest things. Just bring it in, bring it in.
All
So
right.
she just immediately
Second?
grabs both of them.
And
then
he'll
holds in
make a point
second,
to
just
sort of
all
leave
of
an arm open for a second.
Sam just
Go down a little bit.
All of it. And I've got the shortest arms of all of us, so I'm just maxed out here.
Second's head will curl up in their feathers, and one of their legs will retreat into its body.
This is really nice. I haven't had a hug in a few days, I don't think.
Hugs are nice. They're comforting, especially in a time like this.
Yes. Well, sadly, there's so much to do, though. We got the source of all this. But if I could allow myself a selfish moment, also looking for a few folks, as well. You wouldn't have happened to see anyone that looks a little bit like me, and by a little bit I mean almost exactly in one scenario, and then in about 9 more scenarios.
As Hosen?
No, that is a definitive no for all of you.
Fair.
I was afraid.
No, I'm sorry.
And in fact, to add on to that, I'm pretty sure this is the first time that any of you have seen somebody that is a Haragon. So the entire visual presentation of Cinnabon is quite odd.
Where did you last see them?
We were on the road, on the way to, I believe you all call this city Westrun? And got into a bit of an altercation with some fine folk. And by fine folk, I mean fine folk that would pop you on the head and treat you to the darkness of unconsciousness, and then 3 days later, apparently you wake up here.
Do you know anything about these, in quotations, fine folk? Any details about them?
Other than they were most interested in many of our things, some of our food, weaponry and the like. But similar to this, but not exactly to the escalation point.
I'm so sorry. Hosen goes in for another hug. If that's okay, we'll find your family.
Yes, sure. Thank you. I don't mind at all.
Hosen's just in a very like huggy mood right now, just
I
like
understand. Yeah,
almost just being down for after being his first like big fight. Just like I'm so sorry. Hopefully we can find whoever did this to you. We'll find your family.
He kind of takes his ears and he sort of like kind of holds on to them a little bit, like kind of right around his chin, and just kind of thinks for a second. But hopefully we can get these folks, some food and things, and perhaps sort of, at least, hopefully I can find some clues as to where I should go next. But certainly, priority is that. Actually, I think I can actually do a little bit of help with this. By the way, Big Mama Mocha, I saw some of what you've were able to accomplish, and I believe some of our skills may be similar. I was wondering if you knew one of my favorite tricks. And he kind of takes his hands like this and crosses them like so, and casts Goodberry. And you see 10 of these like small berries appear on in between his fingers.
So you're a gardener. Okay.
Manner of speaking, I suppose.
Yeah, I grow thorns out of the ground. That's what I do. I don't create berries, but I do have mistletoe up here in case if anyone gets caught up underneath it, I can go and kiss them. That's what I can do.
Well, that's the good news is that some of the components of this, I call it a trick, it's really a spell, is as a matter of fact, sprig of mistletoe. So I've got plenty of that as well. So if I do run out, I'd ask you a favor.
A lot of my favorite plants grow out of shit.
That second, actually, your logic is quite sound there, actually. As a matter of fact. What would I know about Kenku? Is this like a net new experience for me?
100%. 100%.
Beautiful.
Like there's
That's great.
no overlap between your background.
It's
and
just different voices. I love it. That makes me feel even better. Second,
And in
hope.
fact,
Yeah, go ahead.
go ahead.
I was going to say, second is I really hope to see when things are a bit more on the positive side of things, just this like library of your talents, just between the healing and the different voices, including my own. I'm quite on it. I must say. I'm just sorry this sounds forward. I'm just looking forward to unpacking more of that, if that makes sense.
Second looks at you and then says, I'm looking for someone who looks a bit like me. And then all of a sudden looks exactly like Cinnabon.
Oh, just wonderful.
Wow.
Just beautiful. I'm kind of jealous, actually, a little bit. In a good way, I promise.
Same here. Same.
It's a hell of an
remarkable.
icebreaker. And then will look like himself again.
Amazing.
Incredible.
Mama Mocha just opens up her journal, just looks at all this and just starts writing it down, just chronicling this.
Saving your game.
I'm an autosave right now.
Right. Well, I suppose I should do the right thing and ask where I should bury these two, yeah?
Yeah. You also have that note, right? That from the bag.
Big Mama Mocha he has it.
Yep,
Oh,
I
Big
have
Mama,
it
yes.
right here. Yep, and so she passes over to Hosen.
Perfect. I don't know about you all, but we've been tired, and injured.
Sure.
Maybe we can hand this off to somebody and kind of start there, or
Well, what about your this Yeti person?
yes. Good question. Do we see Yeti still on the ground, just kind of stable?
Yes.
We should probably turn him in, right? Like to somebody else. I don't know what to do with him.
Sure, I suppose. And maybe I can head over to and maybe hand these berries off.
Yeah, maybe. I know there's an infirmary around here. Maybe
I
help him.
can show you where that is, actually.
Perfect.
Just there this morning.
And in fact, you do see the nurse, the attendant that
She's
was
still out and about?
Yeah, she's still out and about.
Oh, excuse me, miss. I apologize. I actually never got your name, did I?
No, no, you didn't. My name is Ellis.
Ellis?
And I am Ellis, yes. I am the nurse here in Turstfields. Well, nurse isn't a very accurate name, but it is the role that I have taken while being here. As you can tell, this is not a common occurrence in Turstfields, but the needs
Certainly.
of the medical field is sometimes required.
And he like takes out like a small like empty satchel and places the berries. This should be utilized for sustenance for the rest of the day. I can actually do it a few more times before heading to bed if you need some more.
Oh, are they magical?
In matter of speaking, yes. Are you familiar with good berries?
No, it just doesn't seem as though they're rather sustaining. As she takes one and looks at it, it's just rather small. But I will take it on your words.
Yes. As a matter of fact, if you take it before about this time tomorrow, it would make you full for the entire day.
That is rather powerful magic for something so small, especially in a place where we are going to be running into food shortages soon. And she kind of looks around and starts to walk over to one of the sacks that is still. You left some of them on the ground, right?
I did.
Yeah, and she like reaches into it and pulls it up and says, well, she looks into it and says, I think this is probably still salvageable, and kind of like slings it over her shoulder and says, the damage would have been a lot worse were it not full of you and she indicates the big bad on the Yeti on the floor and says, with that sword, you there, and she indicates Hosen. You fell. Are you still wounded?
Yes, a little bit actually.
Oh, okay. Well, if you do come back to the infirmary with me, I do have some help I can provide to you, and your friends as well.
That would be amazing. Wonderful, actually.
Physically, I'm all right. Just more of that emotional damage you mentioned. It's a new one for me. I will keep that in mind.
And at that time, now, as you all were sort of talking around, there are more and more people start to come out, and you can start to see that the rebuilding efforts are well underway. There are a number of people inside the center of the entire place of the square, and they are righting some of those stalls. And Ellis actually hands off that sack to somebody, and they go and put it up on the stall again and start to rearrange it and whatnot. And Ellis says, "We're not used to this kind of trouble, but seems as though this is getting more and more frequent, not only in the Tusk Fields, but also along the Potchwood Way throughout the entire realm here. But I suppose we'll have to start getting used to it." She sighs deeply.
I certainly hope not, if we can find out what the situation is.
Well, if that is, you are certainly capable of it. Seeing your feats here in the square, but do you even know where to start?
No, as a matter of fact, not really. But I would hate to leave and not have helped out in all the ways that I believe that I could. To be honest with you, I don't know if I can, but I should be able to answer the question at least.
She looks down and says, well, luckily, he's not dead.
Kind of looks at second. Yes, indeed. Do you know where we should take him? Put him?
Well, considering how dangerous he is, may want to remove some of his weapons, and we could figure out a way to restrain him inside the infirmary, if that seems like a good idea to you all.
Are there any other able-bodied folk that would defend Durst Fields? That, that would want to talk to this person?
Well, see, that's the thing. And she kind of raises her eyebrows in incredulity and says, it's strange, but about a week ago, the shields that were designed to stay here and protect us, that were dispatched from Westruun, were called back because it was deemed safe, and they could have been deployed elsewhere more effectively. And then she kind of looks around and says, 200 of them would have done a really good job of protecting this place, wouldn't they?
Certainly more than the 4 of us. No offense, us.
None taken.
Well, no, your question about whether there's able-bodied people here, it's not any longer. But I do know that there's some talk about getting some outside help. Actually, I have heard the mayor talk about some of the designs he has about contracting with the League of Miracles.
The League of Miracles. That's a new one.
Oh
for
yes,
me.
it's a wonderful organization that is just very good at building things, and I know that they have wanted to come and build fortifications around Durst Fields for a very long time, but we've always rebuffed them because it's not seemed necessary.
Well, all right. Sounds above board, I suppose.
Of course, but it's expensive. You never know what the cost of things really is, whether it's monetary or otherwise. I'm sure the mayor has his reasons as to why he has not wanted to engage with the League of Miracles.
Well, cost is a new thing for me in general, so...
Do you not have money?
Actually, I have a little bit of an allowance that my mother and father gave me. But that's really about it. We didn't have to, kind of trails off for a second. Where I'm from, we didn't really need to. It's all trades and barters and things.
Well, why don't I do this? And she kind of like calls out, Chewie, Tom, Carl, come. And these very large people come over and grab the big, large man. And she says, if you wouldn't mind bringing him back to the infirmary and locking him down. And she like, as they pick him up, she reaches over and grabs the sword and kind of like ickily drops it on the ground. And says, hopefully he will not have not create any more problems for you. But he will be kept inside the infirmary in case you would like to talk to him later.
All right. Well, should we go see about this mayor?
Yes.
Mayor.
Mayor. Well then.
I'm confused now. What is it?
Mayor?
Cinema's never heard of the word mayor before.
Oh.
Mayor? Mayor.
Second looks over at the horse that's hobbled. Mayor?
Mayor.
Amazing.
Saying it in a very bad British accent. Mayor?
Mayor.
Anyway.
Oh, and what is this mayor's name as well?
His name is Lornan Thistlewhip. He should be around here somewhere. Just she kind of leans in and says, "Look for the most well-dressed elf in all of Fields. He's your man."
Ales.
Could I rely on the rest of you to understand what that means?
I think. What does Hosen think of this mayor?
Oh, great point. Yes. So Hosen, well, I mean, a bit aloof, a bit detached, but generally has tried to do what is right for Terse Fields. In situations where there have been perceived emergencies, whether they be economic or personal or those sorts of things, he seems to come out on top and doing the right thing. But it's always at a distance. He, for example, like in the first episode, you were the one that was walking around shaking everybody's hands, you know, the soccer dad kind of coming around. That is 100% not Lauren and Thistlewood's deal. He is, you know, I am the mayor and I belong over here. That kind of thing.
Gotcha. Hosen kind of pipes in and goes, I think talking to the mayor is a good idea. Maybe handing this note to him. But I have a feeling we're not going to get much out of him.
No?
He's a little standoffish, but he has a good heart. Also, too, as like people are setting the town back in order, can we have a private moment, like try to get out of the square a little bit into somewhere a little bit more quiet? I've run into the Yeti before, and Hosen pulls out the symbol that he saw tattooed on the back of the Yeti. Is it okay if I send it over?
If you've got it available, like, go ahead. Perfect.
Cool. Yeah.
Because I was going to search my downloads, but if you've got it ready to go.
Yeah. It'll take me 2 seconds. I believe that this might be a clue of some sort. I don't really know. As I'm saving this image.
Downloading.
There we go. I saw this image on the Yeti. I may have sold my husband's armor to him on accident, not knowing who he was. And I got up and close and personal to him, and I saw this on him. Do any of you recognize this?
Do any of us recognize this?
Yeah.
Why don't each of you roll a history check? Cinnabon, you are exempt.
History check coming in.
There's no way Cinnabon knows this.
Perfect.
12.
Just for the... I'll
19.
pull this up for the folks at home.
Nice.
All right. So, Big Mama, you got a 19. What was yours second?
12.
12? Okay. So with a 19, Big Mama, you know a bit about this, and perhaps it had to do with some of your dealings in your travels, some of the people that you may have rubbed elbows with.
There we go.
Now, granted, it was very tangential for you. This was not something that you were directly involved with, but perhaps I don't know, but maybe once I tell you what it is, you could help me figure out how you know about this. But this is a symbol for the organization known as the Clasp. And the Clasp is a kind of contract for hire organization who deal in extremely shady dealings, and it is sort of like mercenary / rogues and those sorts of things. Smitty, I almost said the Clash, and I had to stop myself. But yes, so correct. That's essentially the symbol, and the way that this is, it is very typical for people of the class to have these things branded onto them. They're like elite mercenary rogues.
Gotcha. Okay. So Big Mama Mocha, she looks at this and, writes it down in her journal. And then, so yeah, she looks and she conveys it. Yeah, that's a symbol for the class. Not the clap, but the class. And with this one, it's kind of a sketchy kind of organization. And she repeats it, mercenaries, rogues, those who are contract for hire, more so kind of like, killers who do it for money, and not in the most noble of ways.
Terrifying.
Not great.
And that man had it on him.
Right on the back shoulder there. We should probably find this mayor and let him know.
Sure. At least give him the information.
Yeah. What are we all? Do you all want to go together? Do you want to join me in?
Well, why don't you lead the way?
Or... Perfect.
By the way, is anyone hungry?
Very much so.
Yes.
I'll cast Goodberry again, and
Nice.
Cool.
I take a good berry.
So Hosen, you've got a couple of guesses about where Lornan might be at this moment. Typically, he does live in a rather modest house, but on the outskirts of town. He doesn't have a mayor's mansion for lack of a better term, but he does like, as I mentioned before, his solitude, and so that is probably, especially at the moment, given what has currently gone on, probably where he is at the moment. And this is a place that you know pretty well. As I mentioned, it's right on the outskirts of town. It does have a small fence. It's more symbolic or decorative than anything that goes around. And he is known to be an avid gardener and has cultivated a really beautiful foliage around the outside of his house. One that is in bloom pretty much the entire year, because kind of knows how to get the spring ones, the summer ones, and the fall ones to bloom on a rotating schedule. So really, really diligent gardener. There are no guards typically there, and while he will keep his door locked, if there is somebody that does call on him, he will end up more or less, taking their audience.
Gotcha. Hosen sees a very lively garden during a drought and go, "Oh, that makes sense." And kind of sneers at that idea of like, "Oh, cool."
I'm glad you picked up on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Living in California, know a lot about that.
Amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But kind of goes over to the mansion. I think there's kind of no guards around. Goes up to the gate, knocks on the gate or knock on the door, however it's laid out, and calls for him.
Okay. Yeah. Great. It's a really well-made door, and there is a solid brass knocker on the front of it, and you ka-thunk, 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 and you have wait maybe a couple of seconds, and you do hear footsteps on the other side of the door that are like hitting the wooden floor very, very demonstrably. And what opens the door is to be the butler. And the butler opens the door and says, "Yes."
Hello. We're here to see the mayor.
Yes. And now the butler is banished from the cannon. There is no more butler. And
I was about to say, welcome officially, finally, Alex and Rain to a Bill game.
Incredible.
Next stop, Kool-Aid Man.
I was gonna say, are they gonna say any questions at any point? Is this gonna be David S. Pumpkins? All right, cool.
and then now his full surname is Pumpkins, and actually,
I'm not mad.
He will then bring you back into the foyer, and this is an area right in the center of the house that has two doors kind of towards the back of it, and then you go down a very long hallway right into the center, and there's kind of a sitting room, and it smells very distinctly like cigar smoke inside of this room. It's obvious that this is a place where the mayor would like to retire at the end of the night and have some cigars and cognac and whatnot. And Pumpkins then goes into another room, and then it is a two-door home. Yes, Tudor. Well, right. And after a couple of moments, he comes back with the mayor. And the mayor, as I mentioned before, is extremely well dressed. He has a three-piece suit on. He's got this long kind of one single braid of golden hair kind of falling off of the back of his shoulders. And he walks with a cane that is completely unnecessary, and the shoes that he's currently wearing are polished to an absolute shine. And he walks into the room and says, "Are you the group that was responsible for repelling those invaders earlier?"
Looks around. I guess yes. Mm-hmm. That's us.
I must say thank you. And he kind of clicks his heels as he walks over to one of the chairs, sits down inside of it, and then offers you all chairs as well to sit down on the sofas. He says, "I'm very, very glad that you were able to do this for us. It was a wonderful act that you all were able to perform. Tell me, are you hurt? Is there any services that you require in terms of healing or medicinal purposes?"
Big Mama Mocha kind of like elbows Hosen a little bit as she takes the seat closest, over to the mayor. Sits closest to him, but then it's like, in fact, we do. And she gestures over to Hosen.
When you catch his eye, Big Mama, you notice that his eyes are a deep blue piercing color. And he looks over at you and says, looks over at Hosen and says, "Well, I think you may want to touch base with Ellis, who is our resident physician. She's able to run." Well, actually, Hosen, I know you. What am I talking about? Shoot, sorry. He says, "Oh, Hosen, I didn't expect you to be part of the party. What brought you to the battlefield earlier today?"
Neither do I, to be honest. I saw the raiding party come into town, and I felt the need to stop it, I guess. I just kind of, I don't know, just something came over me.
Does Balthazar know you're out here?
He knows I'm in town, but haven't talked to him since.
Okay.
I should probably check in with him.
Probably a good idea, especially if you got hurt. I'm sure he'll be a bit concerned with you. But anyway, what do I owe this pleasure?
After the battle, we kind of grabs the note out of his bag. Out of character a little bit here. It's okay if I hand the note to the mayor? Is there anyone else who wants to keep the note hidden, or? No. Okay.
That feels metagamey.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
You're all good.
I was one as a party before. Yeah, so Hosen kind of pulls out the note and goes, we found this note in one of the Ritter's bags. The leader, his name was Yeti, and shows the drawing that Hosen made of, we think the clasp is involved, all the information.
Oh. His face gets instantaneously dark. And when you show him this, he says, I didn't realize it was this serious. What? That makes sense, doesn't it? Because they only took the food. They didn't purposefully hurt anybody, at least that I know of. They didn't try and take any of the magical items or any of those sorts of things. It's very strange that it was so targeted. And in fact, I got word that they hit the silos on the outside of town as well, which further creates a shortage for not only us, but now this is starting to become a full existential crisis for the entire continent.
Pardon me, I hate to interrupt. What exactly is a silo?
Silo is, and he kind of like eyes over it, Hosen. Well, it's a very large structure that contains lots and lots and lots of things like grain and corn. Typically what happens is we store it there for a bit, and then we have somebody distribute it down into the south. It's essentially what feeds the entire continent.
Oh, I see that. Wow, that could be bad. Thank you. And then he stood up to ask a question and then sits back down.
Yeah, Hosen keeps his eyes down, just realizing the severity of the situation.
Now, I realize what I'm about to ask you is kind of a big request. But seeing as how we don't have any of the guards that were assigned to us, and seemed as though you were able to handle it on your own, perhaps you could figure out where they went and why they focused specifically on the food. And this doesn't make sense why they would do that. It's much more than those 20 or 30 could even eat themselves. Something doesn't really make sense.
Yes.
Well, the good news is that I think we were headed that way decision-wise anyway.
Yeah.
Not to speak for everyone.
I'm very happy to hear that. Well, if you're able to do this, then that'll help not only us retrieve that food, but also I've been trying to prevent involving the League of Miracles in producing fortifications or walls around the city. This city is designed to be something that is a stop between stop for travelers that are traveling along the Parchwood Way, and it would not make sense for us to prevent them entry or make it more difficult.
All right. Do you know a good place for us to start?
No. He kind of chuckles. No, I I have no idea.
I was afraid you were going to say that, but I thought I would ask regardless. Didn't want to assume.
No, I do know they came in from the north, maybe by the Parchwood woods, or the Parchwood timbers, but the specifics of where they could be, the woods there are massive. There's no way to be able to track down anything. But I do know that in that direction is not only a place where possible bandits are launched from, but there's also, I've heard, other concerns inside the Parchwood timbers.
Other concerns?
Oh yeah, well, I wouldn't I wouldn't worry about them. From what I understand, it's just a pack of wolves or something along those lines.
Gotcha.
Can I insight check the mayor, please?
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Well, that's terrible. That's a 10. No, that's an 8.
Yeah, I mean, seems like he's pretty much on the up and up there. I mean, he seems to be genuine.
Good enough for me. Well, I certainly haven't been north from here, I don't think. But my folks, I believe, were headed somewhere that way. Sort of. Just a quick check on the location of things. This Parchwood area, is that nearby Western?
No, it's slightly in the other direction. It's roughly about, I'd say, a day's walk.
Oh, well...
In the northeast direction.
Okay, well in that case, where's Western from where we are right now?
Almost due west.
So we are in the middle of Western and this Parchwood.
Correct.
All right. That was all really I had.
Second, we'll tap Cinnabon.
Yes, second.
He says that. I'm looking for someone who looks a bit like me. And then I'll point to the mayor.
Oh, right. Yes, that's also very fair. You wouldn't have happened to have seen anyone that looks sort of like me, by chance, in your goings on in the last few days?
No, in fact, I did not want to be impolite, but I have never seen anybody of your kind before.
Well,
I love the way that your fur shines.
Oh, well, thank you. If it makes you feel better, you're certainly unique to me as well.
He's a little standoffish. I don't think we're going to get a lot out of him.
Amazing!
Kind of looks up. Wide eye.
Incredible.
Incredible. 10 out of 10.
Hashtag callback.
Hosen just like, Well, thank you so much. We should probably
I do have one question. So we're to go to the Parchwood Timbers, and if we do find anything and able to bring it back that is of importance to you, Mayor Thistlewick, and she just keeps like primping herself, you know. Is there any sort of recompense that we would get for our endeavors?
Why don't you roll a persuasion check?
Ooh.
Cool.
He says He says, well, that would only be fair. You risking your lives not only once, but twice. I would be remiss if I didn't offer something for you to incentivize yourselves further. I would be prepared to allow you to provide you with, let's say, 200 gold pieces total, 50 each.
Is that good, everyone?
That's
fair.
yeah.
We established in the last episode that 50 gold was roughly equivalent to the cost of a studded leather armor.
Mm-hmm.
Cinema doesn't know that.
It's like, okay.
And if I may, you have a rather impressive garden out there. When we do return, and I know for sure that we would I be able to take some clippings of some of your foliage out there?
To what end? These are very expensive and well-maintained flowers.
Oh, I am myself also a purveyor of horticulture.
Oh, you are. And then he stands up immediately and starts to walk towards the front, and he says, past the two doors, inexplicably there for no reason. And he says,
Oh, I love you, Bill.
that's what threw me off, and I was like, oh my god, my world building sucks so bad. And then,
No, you're doing great.
And then
You're doing
Jose was
amazing.
like, I know you.
So
Anyway,
awesome.
You're doing amazing.
You're doing great.
This
You're doing
is so
great, bud.
Incredible.
And
It's so
so
great.
he kind of walks past you and says, if you are a fellow Green Thumb, come, let's discuss the flowers that I have out front. I have tulips and roses and the other ones.
Oh, and if you're growing any vegetables,
Delighted.
go ahead, Ren. You
Oh no, I was just simply saying, or Mocha was saying that she is simply delighted.
and if you have any vegetables,
then
you can certainly share those with the fine folk here. What a
Oh, no,
delightful,
this-
lucky situation.
These are not vegetables. These are the most primo tulips and roses and lilies. And in fact, he leans over to Big Mama and says, since you seem to be somebody that appreciates the finer things, especially as it relates to horticulture, you have full reign of my garden.
She absolutely is completely verklempt about this and starts fanning herself just more than would be expected. And it's like, I declare. And gives him thanks. And that's really what she can handle at the moment. Bat her eyes at the mayor.
All right. He reaches down and says, in fact, and he kind of clips, he actually has like in a holster, these little clippers, and he reaches down and clips one of the lilies that is just about to, there's like 3 buds on this lily. One of them is completely bloomed, and then 2 others are in various stages of blooming, and picks it and gives it to you and says, I had this imported specifically from a very small vendor all the way in the south, and it is extremely rare, but I'd like you to have it. And it's just the second that he puts it into your hands, the fragrance of it is explosive, and the violets and pinks that are swirling around inside of the petals are mesmerizing in a way.
And she absolutely takes it, whiffs it in. You could see that she whiffs it in with her entire body, and absolutely just takes it, opens up her little herbalism kit and places it in there. I thank you, sir.
And then he kind of backs up and then says, well, if you need anything else, you know where I am. I will be here for the remainder. And then he walks up his porch, opens the door, and goes back inside.
You know, we're all outside, right?
That's right.
He's quite the character.
What?
Well, should we? I guess since we're going, we need to find this camp. Should we talk to the Yeti? We can rest up at my place and leave tomorrow, or try to
Sounds
find
like a good
out-
plan.
Yeah.
Cinnamon will spin around to the two buds and use Druidcraft and just wave a hand, and they both blossom.
Very cool. And I think that is a perfect place for us to hit our break before we go and rustle up some information at the big bad guy.
Yeah.
At the big
Very
bad
cool.
guy.
The big bad guy. All right, very cool, everybody. We're going to take about 10 minutes for a break, and we will be back with some more investigation, exposition, plot unraveling, and those sorts of things. All right, see you in a little bit.
Bye. Come back now.
and welcome back. We are just getting into the exposition portion of finding out what's going on with the mission and those sorts of things. So we just left the mayor's house with maybe a little bit of additional information, but not a whole lot to chew on for them, except, you know, a very nice, beautiful flower, rare in these parts, for Big Mama. Now, what would you all like to do now? You're left basically to your own devices inside of this garden.
Yep, I just crafted those two and feeling satisfied. So do we want to speak to anybody else before we head to chat with this Yeti fellow? Kind of looking at Hosen for sort of guidance, being...
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anybody else. There's nobody else I could think of. I guess we go talk to this Yeti fellow. And
That actually reminds me, is there, after mayor, is there who's above that? Is there some sort of hierarchy?
in this town, I think that's a good question. I think in this town, the mayor's top of this town, but
So like the king of this town.
yeah, sort of.
How frequently did Hosen mess around in local politics?
Not much. Probably heard rumors about like stuff like he's like he interacts with town folk and like is friends with the innkeepers and all that kind of fun stuff. So never really like dabbled in it. Like definitely
Okay.
voted, but like didn't really do anything else.
Okay. So to answer that question, I think Hosen's knowledge would be that it seems at least that the mayor acts pretty much independently of any of the surrounding city-states, kind of acts as though Turstfields is, in a way, his own kingdom.
We're pretty isolated out here. He kind of has run of the place.
Fair enough. Well, coming from really seeing my own family for months on end, it's a bit strange, but I'm starting to... Nope, definitely not getting used to it, but understand. There you go.
Same here, to be honest. Local politics are always a little messy.
Oh, well, that makes me feel a little better. A little bit better.
Yes.
Not as behind as I thought. Second, how are you feeling? You know what? I agree, actually.
Hosen kind of nods in agreement as well. Just, well, I guess we are trying to find out more about the silo. Just kind of, Hosen is a little bit more, just very cautious about this whole thing. Like, it hasn't really hit him yet that they're gonna go into a wooded area to find, like, be adventurers kind of a deal. Just hasn't really hit him yet, but he's still like going along like with it.
You're not alone.
Very new to this. Yeah. Hosen just kind of goes, I guess we go talk to the Yeti now? Is that? I guess so.
Yes. Makes sense.
Let's go to the infirmary.
All right. So along the way to the infirmary, which is on the southern part of town, opposite of the mayor's little shack here, you walk through the center of town and you see that the majority of people are back not only have they more or less righted all of the broken down chairs and kind of removed some of the dead let's call it, from the middle of the field. It seems as though the mood is beginning to shift back into a somber but somehow still celebratory feel. And it feels as though maybe the meaning of what they were doing with the feast is starting to shift a little bit. And in fact, you, Hosen, especially as you're walking through this part of town, you're starting to get people kind of clasping you on the shoulder and thanking you as you're going through, all four of you, but especially Hosen. And then you get to the infirmary, and as you enter into this, Cinnabon, you recognize this pretty much instantaneously. Hosen, you may have been here once or twice before in certain situations, but yeah, at the moment you do see those three guys that Ellis had drafted to come and help out, and Ellis is currently talking to them, and seeing the four of you come in, she calls out and says, "Hello, yes, come in. It seems as though we've rather well locked him down," and she gestures over to one of the beds that's over there. And only because I'm now thinking of it, just time check, it's roughly about 2 p.m. at this point. And I know I gotta keep it straight.
Holy shit. Y'all
So-
watch Pawns, you know how ridiculously amazing that is.
So you walk in, and what you see is this man is on one of the beds that's inside of the infirmary, and has been thoroughly wrapped with twine. They didn't have like proper rope, but they did have a ton of twine, and it's all mixed in with things like extensive rolls of gauze, and it's kind of a hodgepodge of different ways to restrain this person. And as of right now, he's still not conscious, but Ellis is standing there and saying, "If you're ready, I can wake him for you."
I think are we ready? Gotta ask him about the class and where the camp is, and also, does Hosen see the armor somewhere?
The armor is on his body still.
Gotcha.
They did not remove it.
Gotcha. I looked, everyone. Let's wake him up.
She reaches down.
Mocha puts like a comforting hand on Hosen, like on his back, and just like, shh.
Anxiety is rising in Hosen.
Yeah. She reaches down and puts her hands on his shoulder, and then she makes a small incantation, and you see a bright bit of radiant light come out of her hands and envelop the Yeti, and he gasps and he opens his eyes, and she says, "I assume you'd like some privacy." And she steps back and then walks away.
Oh, actually, I don't think. Oh, all right.
Oh, I'll just be in the other room. If you need me, call.
All right.
And
Like realizing he has no idea how these things work.
Yeah. Hosen gives you the same look, just like, I don't know. Hosen draws his rapier, kind of uses it as kind of like a walking stick, just out. Looks at Yeti and goes, "Well, I hope you had a nice welcome. I hope that was a good welcome for you to Terrace Fields. How are you feeling?"
where am I?
You're in good hands.
Good.
It's way more than you deserve.
Good hands would let me go. What am I doing here? You can see him started to struggle against the ropes.
Hosen's hands grasp tighter around the rapier, shoulders up a little bit. We want to know where the clasp is hiding.
I should have killed you when I had the chance, little one.
Oh, you did have the chance. And you let it go. You underestimated us. Hopefully you don't make that same mistake twice.
Seems as though this was a series of mistakes. Let me go.
You made plenty of the mistakes, and here's a chance for you to make it right. Where is the clasp hiding?
Make a persuasion check. And given the situation, why don't you make it with advantage?
And as he says that, you feel like just Cinnamon's paw kind of grab yours, and he's gonna cast guidance on Hosen.
Amazing.
Okay.
So add a D4 to that.
Cool. Persuasion with advantage. 22.
Whoa.
I'm gonna
That's a
add
D4.
D4. Extra
Oh,
4.
26. Jesus
26.
Christ.
So the question was, where's the clasp hiding? And he says, you'll never find them. You'll never find anybody related to the clasp. But I do have some information for you that I could possibly trade.
Also,
for
we
my
just find
release.
you, actually, so that's not exactly the case.
You didn't find me. I found you. You just happened to win in that battle.
Happen to win. Very interesting word choice. Sure. You tell us the information. We put in a nice word. Perhaps they will let you go.
I know where you can find the bandits, but I need your assurances that I will be released. I'm going to get payment either way. It's just I need to get out in order to get that payment.
Hosen thinks. You start to see the armor kind of glow a little bit from underneath and subsides. You came into this town, raided our village, took food from innocent people. You will be lucky if you were let go. We're coming here out of the kindness of our hearts to put in a good word. That's all you're going to get. We're not here to release you. We just want information.
You're muted, Bill.
So we're trading off of that 26 a little bit here. So I think what he says is kind of looks at you, Hosen. And was it perceptible, visually perceptible, that your armor flashed a little bit?
It was like giving off an aura for a hot second and then disappeared.
Okay. we're putting the 26 in a holding cell for a moment, but why don't you roll an intimidation check on top of that, this time also with advantage.
Cool.
Okay, that's guidance again.
Cool. 2 9s. Let me see. Do that D4. 3, so 12.
All right. He says, your parlor tricks don't intimidate me, but seeing as though I don't really have any other choice, and a good word can go a long way, I can tell you where those bandits went. They went up into the Parchwood Timberlands. There's a hideout there. I was supposed to go back after I had completed this mission to meet up with my contact. Payment was supposed to be there, but I'll figure it out later. I don't really need those bandits anymore anyway. Job's done as far as I'm concerned. There's a river, and if you follow it, there's a waterfall not too far within the Parchwood Timberlands, but right next to that, that's where their camp is hidden. It's well protected, and I think he smiles. You'll have an interesting time trying to infiltrate it, but the choice is yours. By the way, I realize I'm not in a great position for making demands, but is there any chance you could bring that blade to me?
Ozen looks at his friends, looks back to him, and goes, I hope you enjoy your time here at the Terrace Fields. And I hope you have a good rest of your day. And just walks away.
What are the rest of you doing?
Mocha leans over to Yeti and goes, I just wanted you to know it was my arrow that put you down. And if it wasn't for the mercy of one of my friends here, you would still be down. So you are lucky that you're here. So you can count your lucky stars that you're here. But if I have to come back here, this will be your deathbed. And that's it.
Why don't you roll an intimidation on that one?
Ooh.
Hell yeah.
I get to roll.
That was so good.
Guidance again. Roll that D4.
Ooh, I did 4. Let me get my 4. 17.
All right. You could see that your words have struck a chord with him, especially mentioning the fact that you were the one that killed him. You could see a slight bit of fear come over his eyes as he then tries as hard as he can to steal that, and then says, thanks for letting me know. If we ever meet again, I'll make sure to remind myself.
I'll be there waiting. And she turns and follows Hosen out.
Nice. Second, Cinnabon, you want to get a hand on this ball, or you good to go?
I'll wait for Cinnabon.
So that was eventful. Just selfishly curious. Have you seen anyone about me sized? Me look is like?
You know what? Why don't you roll persuasion? I know
I'll
it's
cast guidance.
All right, then. Let's see what we have here. So, so a straight roll plus that guidance. So thank you kindly. With the guidance, that's 12.
he says, what does he say with a 12? He says, not that I remember.
Huh. All right then. Well, if you do seem to remember, I'm not very difficult to find, considering that either A, I'm either the only one that you've seen like this, or it's one of my brothers and sisters or my mom and pop. So.
You're looking for your brothers and sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What does that mean?
He looks away and says, go join your friends.
I don't exactly like being told what to do.
Silence.
Kind of sighs. I hope that I don't have to turn you into ash one day. He steps outside.
Second will walk over to him, cock his head to the side for a second and say, we took you in, healed you, clothed you, and fed you, and you've done nothing for us but cause problems. Remember, the Everlight guides and protects those who seek to help others. And I'll cast Cure Wounds. For 14 points back on him.
14?
14.
Wow. He had his head turned away after the conversation with Cinnabon. And then as he hears this, he turns his head back and says, completely perplexed, like, what just happened does not compute for him whatsoever. And he says, you're a strange one, aren't you? If we ever see each other, I'll kill you last.
Second's eyes squint up, the hint of anger coming through. Getting beat bloody wasn't enough for you, huh, Second? Next time I'll make sure you don't get up again. I'll walk out.
Huh. Was that meant as a threat?
Are you asking me, or is he asking Second?
No, I'm asking you.
I don't think Second knows. I think he was angry, and he said something that was said mean to him one time.
Okay.
But maybe
Okay, fair
a
enough.
bit of a threat. Yeah.
Fair enough. Interesting.
4 very different, follow-ups. Incredible.
Mhm. Loved all of it.
You too.
All right. The world is yours. What would you like to do now that you are ostensibly outside?
The moment Cinnamon opens the door. I do not like that one at all.
Right? Just
Yeah,
don't like him
similar
whatsoever.
company.
Mm-hmm.
Second just comes out and kicks a rock.
You know
Same
what? Great
here,
idea.
Sec.
And he and Cinnamon will also kick the rock.
Hosen is kicking a rock too. Just
You know what is
Mocha
interesting?
just sees the boys, just starts kicking rocks.
Call it a hunch. I could be completely incorrect here, but I think he found me quite amusing, which, to be honest, is not exactly out of the ordinary for me. It is out of the ordinary for someone that attempted to kill someone next to me, though.
how does that make you feel?
That he knows where my family is.
We gotta find out where this clasp is. I think we should take this blade of his, use it as a ask around token, a clue.
Do we assume that all of these bandits are also part of this clasp thing?
I'm not so sure.
It wouldn't entirely be an unhealthy assumption.
Second is vigorously nodding his head no. Says,
I agree.
I don't need these bandits anymore.
Yeah, you're right. Man, that's going to come in handy. Like, really. If you don't mind, I'm probably going to ask you sometime down the road, like, do you remember what I said, like, at, 2:30 yesterday? Like, I forgot.
Start feeding them lines about like could just use for later.
This is my grocery list.
If you could say this, it'd be very cool. Well, if these bandits are working with the class, they should be quite formidable. We should probably get some rest. Now that we know this location. I don't know about you all, but it's okay if we. I haven't seen my husband since this fight. I would kind of like to see him before we go. Would you
yes.
all like to see my home?
I would love to see your home
Absolutely.
and meet your husband.
Cool. Before we go, I think Hosen tells Ellis, if you could contact probably someone in West Run to come grab this guy. He is obviously dangerous, and I think keeping him here is only going to draw attention.
You mean as though to call the authorities or some sort of oh, I could call the Shields. They might be able to send a detachment, just someone small to come and take them away.
That would be perfect.
Yes, I can do that.
And also, can we borrow his blade?
Oh yes, we have no need for that here. In fact, I left it inside of the square, so if it's still there, you could take it.
Oh, perfect. And last thing, I sorry, so many requests. He has Balthazar's armor on. If you could kindly take it off him and keep it safe. I don't want him to parade around in my husband's good work and disgrace my husband's craftsmanship.
Well, why
Hosen,
can't we just go back in there and just take it off of him? I will happily cut him out of it.
I'm
I'm in.
she pipes up and says, well, it might be difficult, seeing as how we would have to remove some of the restraints.
That's true. Maybe in due time. We'll figure it out. If you
defeated him
can,
once.
amazing. If not,
We could do it again.
true. Quick, knock him out, and it's not that important, but
If it's important to you, Hosen, it's important to me.
And I do know that Balthazar's work is what makes him proud, and I would not want his work to be displayed in such a crass way. And of course, you, Hosen, are a friend of all the town. Of course, I'll do this for you. Figure out a way to slip him some potion of sleeping or something. And oh, speaking of which, and she kind of like she says, hold on 1 second, and then she walks back inside and comes out with just like a kind of a loose bag, and it's burlap. She's got it wrapped around with some twine, and she says, I can't help but say here that you are venturing out on a bit of a journey here, and it's not much, but it is what we had left in terms of supplies. And she hands over this little bag, and it's got like glass clinking inside of it. And she says, this will do you some good. And if you can, please, make good use of it. And I'll just let you know, I'll fix this afterwards. I'll put this in Discord, but it is 4 potions of healing. There is a potion called Bottled Breath, which I dig that. There's an oil of slipperiness, and then a potion of stone skin.
Damn.
Ooh.
Out here in Terrace Fields, blam blam.
Damn. Let's go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, I just put that in our chat.
Nice. Also, how do you communicate with Westrun typically?
Oh, typically by pigeon.
Oh. It like takes a second to like think about that for just to understand what that means. Okay. Would you mind adding in your that someone's looking for someone that looks like me as part of your pigeon manifestation of communication?
Certainly, I will, she says. I will go and do that right now. And she turns off and says, unless there's anything else, I'll get right on that.
If he even threatens you, just scream real loud and we'll come back. He kind of grins. He's like, then we can definitely get the armor off.
You make a fair point.
Well, Hosen, to your establishment, yes?
I guess so.
All right. So I am going to rely on you a little bit, Alex, here to decide where is, I know we talked a little bit about it. It's not directly inside of the town. It's a little bit out. But what does it look like?
Yeah. As we kind of approach outside of Terrace Fields, it's very much traditional style hobbit hole. It is carved into the hill, large circular door with BS on the front, and beautiful stained glass windows, a garden that once looked thriving, now wilted because of the drought. Quite the opposite of the manner of the mayor. Hosen kind of looks to his friends, goes, well, welcome to my little humble abode. And I kind of knock on the door. Balthy, I'm home.
He opens the door immediately and says, I did not know that you were going into town into the middle of a battle. How did you? And he kind of like just jumps at you and gives you a hug. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm a little bit little hurt, but your armor did wonders. Thank you. And I just give him the biggest hug, kiss on the cheek, just holds him tight.
He says, I craft this armor specifically for people to not have to deal with the sorts of damage that you've done. Here, why don't you come in? I'll make some tea. By the way, who are your friends? Come on in, all of you.
Oh, everyone, this is my husband. This is Cinnabon and Big Mama Mocha in second. Please, come on in.
And as he walks back, Hosen, what does Balthazar look like?
Yeah, Balthazar, bald-headed, big, bushy, a beard, kind of salt and pepper in places. Very round, big old beer belly. Weathered hands from working on tannery, on the leather making. Very hairy palms, knuckles, and just the kindest smile you've ever seen. Just a smile that is warm, inviting, those smiling eyes as well, that goes with it. The whole face kind of crinkles up as they smile, and just the embodiment of warmth, essentially.
Right, and so you come in, and he kind of invites you in, and he says, "Now, I hope you're not getting into any more trouble there, Hosen. You're done, right? That's it. You're not putting yourself into danger anymore."
Well, the mayor, he says that like a little bit like the mayor.
Oh, that blowhard? There's no
Yeah.
way that you're doing anything on his behest.
They took from the silos.
Wait, they what?
The attack on the town was a distraction. The main target was the silos.
Oh, no.
The mayor saw us as kind of like the heroes of this endeavor and trusted us to kind of track it down. And I think it's look, I know, but I did things out there that couldn't have imagined. It sparked something inside of me, and I think we can do some help.
Your husband's quite brave.
Brave, yes. And that's, of course, one of the things that attracted me to him, but he's also gregarious, he's also delightful, he's also caring, and these are the things that do not belong in battle. Listen, Hosen, I trust you. And if this is something that you feel called to do, then I will support you and stand by you. But my God, you. And then he's been pacing nervously in the middle of your kind of living room. And he says, I know. I've just been wrapping this up. And I put my heart and soul into everything that I create, this one specifically. And I think you could do well to wear something like this. And he goes and says, well, actually, you know what? There's time for that later. And all of a sudden the teapot starts to whistle. And he says, do y'all want some tea?
I would love some tea. You've been waiting to trigger that one for a while. Oh, amazing!
Quite some time. Oh my God!
Holy shit!
That was a
Iconic.
fair play.
It was
Fair
an
play.
absolute fair play.
Perfect.
Bill's like, oh god, the entire campaign is could come back to haunt me.
And he says, okay, so all right, well, and he cocks his head over at second, and knowing better than to question his husband's guests, he then turns around and starts to prepare tea. And he says, there'll be time for all that business related stuff later. Why don't you all grab a seat? And what you actually, I don't want to take this like Alex. What does the living room look like? I assume like super cozy fireplace, but
Oh yeah, like the coziest kind of living space. Big old cushiony chairs that kind of face the window, fireplace in the corner. There is books everywhere. There is kind of some on the floor, some like stacked neatly. You see in one corner, one room, there is the whole leather making setup. It's very elaborate, very ornate. There is
that where is that where the action happens? The leather making action happens. Okay,
Correct.
cool. So he doesn't have like a separate shop. It's within the house itself.
Correct.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Go.
Oh no, you're so good. Just a whole workshop in the corner. There is a lion like decorations everywhere, little statues of lions. Some of like the arches into other rooms kind of have like lions depicted on top there. It's just a cozy little environment. It's just a nice. It feels like a warm blanket is over you in every single room. One room is a library, one room is a workshop. There's a kitchen that is all set up with ornate pots and pans, enough to make food for an army. There is the entryway, just a nice, beautiful carpet that has, no joke, just like depictions of Hosen and Balthazar like together. It's just like in the entryway. It's just a very cozy little environment.
That's awesome. Very cool. So he then goes and starts pouring out the tea for all of you, and he says, now Hosen, will they be spending the night with us? If so, I can put out the mattresses.
I think so. I think some rest before going to find these bandits might be in order.
Okay. Well, then that's wonderful. I'll let you all talk. But Hosen, when the time comes, I'll just be in my shop.
Sounds good. Thank you. I love you.
I love you too.
And sips on his tea.
He is a charmer.
Right? Always has been.
Hosen, a bit of a odd request. Is there anywhere in your home that has a view of the night sky?
Yes, actually. It's not really a place, but like if you step outside, there's kind of stairs that leads up to the top, and there's kind of like a separate garden that's on top there, with like park benches and things of that sort. They could look up into the night sky.
All right. I'd like to sleep there if that's all right.
That works perfectly. It's been many nights up there. It is quite comforting.
Great. So now what?
Yeah. I figured, unless, we could rest up here for the night, and even though it's 2:30 in the afternoon, but we can either head out soon and start making our way up to the woods. It's making our way. It's about I think it's like a day and a half journey out there. We can start heading out now and camp out there, or we can leave early tomorrow morning. It's what do you all think?
Well, you said yourself that you're a bit prickly. Need a bit of rest, so it's probably smart.
Yeah. I could just take a little power nap for an hour and then be on our way, or we could spend the night. Doors always open here, or we can go out and start venturing north, I guess. Venturing. Never thought I would be saying those words.
I don't know. It feels like a big decision.
Well, while y'all are thinking about it, can I ask a simple favor from each of you?
Sure.
So Mocha just turns to each of you and just like, I know we are going to create some memories for a fact. And I like trinkets from those I'm beholden to, or endeared to, I guess you would say. So I would like to ask if I can have something from each of you. And she looks over first over at Cinnabon and Cinnabon and Rabbit. Can I have a tuft of your fur?
That's like he like starts to blush a little bit. I don't think I've ever been asked anything like. I mean, I suppose I shed a dear bit, so I certainly wouldn't miss it. I probably would forget that I'd even given it to you. Sure, yeah, of course.
From wherever you like.
Kind of. I think he kind of like reaches like behind, kind of like behind his like back of his head.
Okay. And so she goes and takes it, looks over at second. May I have a feather or two from you, honey?
Second considers it for a second, pulls out a feather from one of his wings, goes to hand it over and pauses with it outstretched and says, "Dark magic is not to be used under any circumstances."
I agree.
My
Hands the
magic
feather over.
is as bright as the sun. And then she just gingerly takes the feather from second. And then she turns over to Hosen. As co-patriarch of this home, may I? And she gestures to like your head of hair.
Absolutely. Grabs like a steak knife, I guess, and like cuts it off. Cuts off a little lock, just a little bit, but like way too much. Just like there's a little ball patch now, just like
Oh, no.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Oh, well, hopefully that's not noticeable, and tries to cover it up, but it's definitely noticeable.
Can't even tell. Thank you, all of you. And then so she has on her quarterstaff, like empty little bottles and like I mean like a little dried animal claw. But with the bottle, she pulls out the stopper and just drops each of the items in there, stoppers it back up, and just sits back, waiting for your decision.
Thank you.
Well, me and the family are typically early risers, so I think though there's certainly urgency, and considering last time I was outside of these walls, I was a bit costed unawares. I think I'd feel a bit more comfortable if we take our time.
I think so too. I think this has been quite a crazy day already, and jumping back out there, I think, I don't know, I mean, time is pressing with, I don't know when they expected Yeti to be back at the camp, or anything, but the idea of going back out there is a little bit...
Second, can you turn into Yeti?
He gestures. That's too tall.
Oh. You guys just like slinks back, like having this idea, like this brilliant idea, and then just boom. Sorry,
Oh man.
I mean, if you put like 3 of us in a trench coat, can't we be like the same size as Yeti? Yeah.
Well, apparently I could turn large now, so if anyone's good at makeup and disguising, I don't know.
I mean, I will say that second, your face could resemble Yeti's, but the size would be completely off.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Certainly.
so do with that what you will.
Sure.
Him on top, 3 of us in a trench coat. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying, we do have a leather maker.
I'm down
right
for
here
that
who
really
could make
awful
us
decision.
probably,
It's Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, honey, can you actually make a really large trench coat?
Right.
No, just joking.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yes, I think. I mean, we can break out the instruments tonight, sing songs, and kind of celebrate our victory before going out tomorrow.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Suppose
From
so.
what I've read, you're never supposed to leave dinner early.
Well said.
That sounds a bit
Oh, those
familiar.
wonderful words.
The first moment that I
Outside.
think I've heard that from.
Wise words indeed. Well, I should start making dinner. Kind of sits on up.
Are there games that people typically play in this area?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, what kind?
We got dice, we got cards, we got all sorts of things.
All right. I'm interested in learning more, please. Thank you.
I love this game so much. It's called Yahtzee, and brings out.
Oh yes, a Tal'Dorei special. Amazing.
If you really do want to play a game, like one of the things that I have played in other campaigns is a kind of a form of blackjack, where you
Like Three Dragon Ante?
It's a D10 and then a D8 and then a D6,
Yep.
and you bet after each one of the rolls, and you could basically do 21 that way. But that's up to you.
Ooh. Yes.
He don't got no money like that. He's got like 5 gold, which is actually a lot from his perspective. But
True.
oh, you know what, Hosen? It is still mid-afternoon. Maybe we should get a tour of the town then. I've really only
I
been.
love that idea.
I've really only been the mayor's house, the infirmary, your house, and the middle area where everything went down.
Absolutely, I would love to show you around. I mean, those are all the major sites, but we can.
Oh,
I
is that
would love
all?
to.
Really? Wow. Amazing.
Yeah, those are all like the important ones. I mean, we could go to the library. We can.
Excuse me, there's a library here?
I mean, it's not that big. It's just a little bookstore kind of thing. But
There's a bookstore and a library.
I mean, it's one thing. It's like bookstore size kind of a deal. It's a small library. It's
A bookstore-sized library or a library-sized bookstore? Yeah, probably a bookstore-sized library. That makes the most sense.
That's the one.
All right. I would be most interested in that, yes.
Perfect.
As a matter of fact, part of the reason why we're, as my father would say, in town, was to learn of some of the local customs and things that people typically do.
I love that. I'm more than happy to show you. I mean, I'm kind of a tour guide myself. I would love to show you around. Starts walking backwards like a tour guide would. Like on your left is just
Is this picture?
yeah, exactly. This picture on the wall. It's very nice. Yeah, I'm more than happy to take you downtown and go to the little library.
All right.
Mocha's coming too. She's already like on her feet, ready. She heard books, everything. She's ready.
Second. All right.
Going to the library. All right. I mean, the library is, as you would imagine, it's pretty much directly in the center of town. Maybe a couple of buildings back away from where the main attraction is, the center square. Now, I mentioned at the very beginning that there was like a parade that was starting and that people were starting to line up. This was before all the action happened, in the previous episode. That is not the case anymore. The people in the streets are mostly just kind of congregating in the middle. And Hosen, you start to see that the people there are the mood has turned from a tepid excitement into kind of a mournful celebration, but that's kind of where the mood is right now. So as you're moving more towards where the library is, the crowd gets a little bit sparser, but you do know that this is a pretty big staple. As you mentioned, there's a ton of books inside of your house, so I imagine that you would have a pretty good relationship with the library person that's inside. It is, as you mentioned, it's not a very large library. It is probably just 5 stacks or 5 rows of the bookshelves inside of this rather modest hut that's all wooden inside of it. And as you enter, you see that the person that very, very well is sitting there, and she looks up at you and says, "Hosen, welcome. You were just here. Did you already finish that book?"
Oh yes, I loved it so much. For a romantic novel, I think it has amazing character development. I think I just love it so much. I'm about halfway through, so no spoilers, but I'm loving it.
Well, the secret is, I think, that it takes a little bit from history, and so it's romantic fiction, but it's also a little bit of historical fiction mixed in there as well. It's really good. I think you'll like the ending.
Oh, perfect! I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
So welcome to you and your friends.
Yes. My friend here, Cinnabon, wants to learn about local customs.
Yes.
Cinnabon,
Hello.
Is there any particular books you want to read or see?
I'm just taking it all in first. Is this library also affiliated with the Cobalt Reserve in Westerun?
No, it's not. But I have heard of that. It's rather famous. But no, we're independent. We work primarily within Turstfields. But what we try to do is we try to get books coming in from the travelers. It's kind of a take a book, leave a book kind of policy.
Oh, that makes sense. I don't think I have a book with me. But
do you have a book?
I don't think I do. I don't actually. But
so are you a traveler?
I think I'm about to be.
She gets excited and says, "Where are you going?"
Out in towards the Potchwood Timberlands for a bit. I was originally traveling to Westrun, but got a bit. This is a bit of a detour for me.
You can see she's thinking. She says, "So you were going to Westrun, but now you're going. That's the opposite direction. So where did you come from then? Because the only thing between those two is Turstfields, and you're obviously not from here."
I suppose I'm not. But before that, we were in Single. That was the first city that I've ever been in.
Oh. Were you born there?
No.
hold on, wait. You said that was your first city you've ever been in, but you weren't born there.
Yes, that's correct. But you know, it's complicated. I new in town.
I want to make you roll something because she's a purveyor of knowledge and
Sure.
is rather intelligent. I would like you to roll a.
What's an anxiety attack roll?
How about just a straight charisma roll?
Oh yeah, that's a terrible roll for me. I love it. Which is amazing because I rolled a natural 18, which for 18.
That's pretty good.
Nice.
That's pretty good. She says, well, that's very interesting. I suppose I'm being rude by pestering you so much. In any case, if you're looking for local customs, we have a section over here on local customs of different parts of the region. I know that you did say you're going to Parchwood Timberlands.
Yes.
There is a geography section over on that. I must admit it's rather sparse, but we do have some atlases and those sorts of things.
Considering where I'm from, we don't have a library. Your sparse is plentiful from where I'm counting.
You keep making references to strange places that don't have
No,
libraries.
actually, I don't. I really don't. Could you mind? Do you mind if I just? Okay. Starts walking to the geography. And for TLDR, he's gonna grab there's a book for geography on where they're headed, and like a book for local customs. I'm assuming for Tal'Dorei volume 1 and 2, whatever it would be.
Sure. So with this,
Little brochure.
what I'll
Right.
do is I will say that instead of having it be a day and a half journey, because you are going to probably poke around a little bit looking for a river, you're able to identify a river specifically, and that will allow you to change this instead of a day and a half to a day-long journey. Also, you get a sense of. Never mind. Why don't you make a intelligence check?
Interesting.
So just giving shit out to people. No.
Yeah.
Roll for that
Well,
shit.
now you don't have to worry about that because I
Give
rolled
us
a
a-
1. So for a 2.
Good. That's what you get.
That's my anxiety attack roll.
There we go.
All right. And you're looking for local customs. What specifically in terms of local customs?
Dance, merriment, not people pleasing, but just like what do people do?
For fun, for
fun.
entertainment.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what you find. Again, things are a little bit sparse, but you're able to find this is good. You find a Volo's guide to Westrun Inns. And
Volo
it
made his
is,
way from Faerun, eh? Amazing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's
Oh,
an
yeah.
interdimensional traveler, and it is like a raucous jump through some of the silly adventures that Volo had now inside of Tal'Dorei.
Now I just need Fizbin and Mordekainen, and I have the trifecta.
Yeah, that's right.
There you
So
go.
I mean, and within this, it's sort of like there's a great place for dancing, there's a great place for music, there's a great place for food. So you have a pretty good sense of the different cool places to go inside of Western.
Kind of comes back with all these books. So I recognize that libraries are about. Well, you mentioned this. Give a book, get a book. Can I purchase this from you? I've never done a purchase before. This is so exciting.
You can, in fact. Typically, we say We say roughly about 5 gold pieces per book.
Oh. Well, I'll purchase one. And which, for the record, boy, that is expensive as shit, Bill.
Yeah.
The Jacob will remember this. But Cinnamon doesn't know. This is fun.
Well, but she says, well, as I mentioned, we don't have much of a of resources here, and in fact, we don't like to run out of books. And if people just can come and buy books, then we run out very quickly. So we have to make it somewhat expensive.
Oh, I see. That actually makes sense. Well, then, actually, I don't want to upset the whole situation. Then, so maybe I'll just do the borrowing thing, and if I like to keep it, I'll come back and pay for it then.
Yeah,
Jose kinda
you're
chimes
here for this
in,
whole
yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, Jose kind of chimes in and goes, I mean, I have some books at home I can return. I've already read through a good amount of them. Want me to bring some books by and we can do a little tradesies?
Hosen, that's fine. Just I'll put it on your tab. And then she takes out a big ledger of different books that you've read and just like crosses out one.
Oh, thank you for that.
She says, just make sure to bring it back.
Right.
Of course, I always do. Every time.
Inside check. No, I'm just kidding.
He does, but he holds on to it for way too long.
Yeah, cutscene to like where we were back in, where you said there's like piles of books literally everywhere.
Everyone is like
just
late.
Oh, 100%. Just
Hosen is
getting all
not a
those
be
late
kind
fees.
rewind type of person.
Loves his books way too much.
Well,
Is there anything that Big Mama or Second would like to look at inside of this?
I think actually what I was, or what Mocha was going to get actually was Jacob. I'm calling everybody like I'm just falling out of D&D.
Jacob just hanging out in Tal'Dorei. Dream come true. What up, everybody? Hit me.
Let's go.
Yeah. Hey, Jacob.
Hi.
Yeah.
Human Bard.
What Cinnabon, what he grabbed, that's really what she was going to be going after. She's going to wait for everyone. But yeah, he already got maps, clues, customs. So yeah, she's fine.
Yeah, he lets you super borrow all that stuff. I'm like, no big deal.
Second takes out a little piece of paper and some charcoal and scratches out book on healing. Underneath it goes, Staying Alive by Bardicus Grimwald and Benita Gams. Question mark?
She says, I don't know that one. And she looks over at Hosen and says, you read just about as much as I do. Are you familiar with that?
Can I roll a history check to see?
Yeah, do it. Go for it.
Love that.
Go for it. Your background may provide that.
Possibly. That was a 9.
No, that's a very rare book.
Very rare. No, I don't, unfortunately. Sounds very catchy, though.
All right. Anything else you'd like to do?
More than satisfied.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah, let's head back home.
Thank you so much.
When we head back into the street, do we see the sword somewhere?
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you
that's
for.
That's
Yeah.
a really good
Remember
question.
About that.
Yes.
I'm gonna nudge.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Hosen to
Drag
see the sword. But before, oh sorry, I'll nudge Hosen.
Do I see the sword lying around anywhere?
Yes, you do. Yes, it's still lying there. You know that petty thefts and like taking of other people's properties is not a typical thing inside of Turstfield, so people probably just didn't pay attention to it.
Cool. I go ahead and grab it.
Wait,
Alright.
before he grabs it, I put my wing out and I cast resistance on him because I've learned about some sketchy weapons in the past. So
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Smart.
Yes, there is no effect as you pick this up. It is, as I mentioned before, a very, very well carved, beautiful greatsword. And now that you're not in the middle of combat with him, you can tell that this sword has not only the ornateness of its jewelry and those sorts of things, but it's also emitting a very, very faint light.
Good to know. Is there any like engravings on the sword? Anything that would kind of let us know about the creator of the sword? Kind of like thinking about how Balthazar has his initials on it, on his armor. Is there anything of that kind of crafter's touch on it?
Give me a second. Huh. Yes, in fact. And just checking your languages, you speak Elvish, and there is Elven script written on the blade. And it says, "From the moon gives light."
Nice.
You called it, dude. You
Nailed
called
it.
it even before I got there. From downtown.
Fade away. Swish.
Love it. Awesome. Hey, carry that sword with us.
All right, I'm putting that in the chat as well.
Cool. I'm adding all this stuff to my inventory so we can. BBF.
Yeah, while I'm thinking about it, if in the chat you each could claim different things, and then what I'll do is I will like assign it to you inside of D&D Beyond, so you have it inside of your inventory.
Wonderful.
Perfect.
As we walk back, I'm so sorry. I owe everyone an apology. When I get really nervous, I as my mother would say, I get motor mouth. So my apologies if that upset anyone. Feel free to tell me to shut up. I will not get insulted. My mother and father tell it to me all the time.
Sophie just leans over and goes, "You're fine, honey." And then she just kind of just like rubs the top of his head, like right here, just gently strokes it. "You're fine."
And he's just like, that was amazing.
that's awakening something in me.
Something has changed within me. No. And he'll just smile and keep walking. Yahtzee time.
Puts his hand on his shoulder. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, let's kind of head back to the house and have some dinner and rest up.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right. You get back to the house, and at this point, Balthazar has already, anticipating your return, has already started the process of putting some food together. You can smell the smells of some roast mutton with some potatoes and carrots that are, seasoned with a really delicious buttery sauce on them, and he kind of calls out and says, "Hosen, did you go back to library again?"
Possibly.
If it's any consolation,
Look,
it
I'm
was
going to return the
absolutely my
books.
fault.
Now, I'm sorry to do this with company here, but you see the problem with that, right? And he gestures to the
I will
floor.
return the books in due time. It's gonna be okay. As soon as I get back, I'll return all the books. I promise. I promise.
Now, well, how long are you planning on being gone?
I promise. As soon as I get back, I'll return the books. And just completely sidetracks the question.
Yeah, he picks up on that immediately, and you can see the gregarious face that he typically has soured a bit, and then he goes back into the kitchen.
You know what? You're right. Let's round up these books. I can, while we're hanging out tonight, I could go ahead and pack up these books, and maybe tomorrow you could take them back. If I'm gone.
Hosen, it's not about the books. And then he walks into the kitchen.
Hosen pops open a bottle of wine, pours himself. And anyone else want some good wine?
Oh,
Pours.
I'm good, thank you.
Oh, of course. Sounds good. Is that good? No. Okay. Cool. Pour some wine for Big Mama Mocha and I.
What was the tea made of, by the way?
It was made out of chamomile.
Ooh, lovely.
I would love some more of this chamomile, please.
Of course. And pour some tea.
Just nods to himself and sips on the tea.
After a couple of seconds, you hear that there is, like a little bit of a bang inside of the kitchen, and then Balthazar comes out back into the living room and then says, Hosen, I would you mind if I talk to you? And kind of walks into the shop.
Oh, of course. And I follow him in.
A look at second. My mother's done that before. He just shakes his head.
Why am I sweating in real life right now? Oh boy.
So he says, I know that face. I know that face. You're not in trouble. But I have to tell you, I'm terribly worried. You're not a fighter, Hosen.
No.
And that's what got me to fall in love with you. Is yes, you're strong and you're brave, as your friend said, but you're not a fighter at heart.
You're right. I think, I don't know, ever since the tattoos started acting up, I guess, awakening, I've felt called to something greater. I don't, not to say this life that we have together is not the greatest thing in this world. It really is. This drought has destroyed a lot of people's livelihood, and I think I can do something about it. I don't know. I think I know it's crazy, and I don't want to leave you.
Well, God damn it, then you won't leave me. You'll just be gone for a bit. That's all. And in fact, I know you're not a fighter, but let me put something in your pack that could give you a bit of a stronger chance. As I mentioned, I've been working on this for a bit. I found one of the travelers came in with some very interesting type of leather that I thought that I could make something special. And I was going to make a bit of coin, but this seems much more important. Never would have thought that you would have ventured out beyond these walls, beyond this village, but here. And he turns around, and off of the place where he's been doing a lot of the sewing and the stretching of the leather itself. He starts to pull something off of the table, but then he says, "Oh, of course, can't forget that." And then there's a little bit of a small fireplace, like to heat up a brand, and he pulls a hot red poker out, and then puts the symbol of BS on the inside of it, and then cools off the hot poker, and then puts it aside, and he presents this to you, and it is a leather armor of just immense quality. And one of the things that is different about this leather armor that he's giving you is that it is not just sort of the typical breastplates and shoulder plates and those sorts of things, but it also has a bit of a hood. And he says, now, not only will this protect you, and protect you pretty well, and he knocks on the side of it, he says, but there's something inside of this leather that can help you to hide and can provide some cover to you if there's something that you need to be hidden from. And he gives this to you. And he says, I'm thinking I call it the armor of blending, because when you put it on, it's kind of blends you into the background. And I'm going to put that into the chat as well.
Ozen starts crying. He gives Balthazar a big hug, a kiss on the cheek, pulls him tight. Starting this life with you was the best decision ever for me. I couldn't have asked for a better partner to start this journey with, start this new chapter. I promise I'll be back soon.
He holds you close and then puts each of his hands on your neck, and then kind of looks deep into your eyes and says, hopefully us being together will be the second greatest decision you've ever made. Because if what you're saying is true, you're going to save Tal'Dorei from starvation. But if there's anything I have to tell you, and I have to tell you twice, is do not call me Balfi in mixed company.
I'm sorry. I know it's...
Then he kisses you as you apologize and says, listen, we've got some tables to some guests to feed. And then he walks into the kitchen and
Sounds good. I slap his butt on the way out.
He does a playful, ooh. And then dinner is served. You know what? I think I kind of want to, unless there's anything very specific. I know this is a dramatic button, but I think this is the right time to fade out into black. You all have a fantastic dinner, and it is very high quality. As Balthazar is a accomplished chef, as he is a leather worker. And then we are going to pick up next week with your journey off outside of Turffields.
Amazing. Yeah, I think the only thing that I would add is Cinnamon would make a point to request to return the favor from a cooking perspective.
Oh yeah, that's definitely. I mean, there's nothing that makes a better chef than sharing recipes and learning about other techniques. And I think Cinnabon probably has some really good, interesting techniques.
Matter of fact, I think he'll be like, breakfast?
Oh, yes. Let me make sure I write that down.
Yeah,
Awesome.
breakfast.
Good stuff, y'all.
Good stuff.
Great session.
Yeah, for real.
Whew.
Wow.
So
Tear up over here, man.
yeah, that was
Good shit.
pretty heavy.
Love that.
Good
Love
shit.
that.
All right, y'all. This was really, really fun. We're going to be back next week with the venture out into the Parchwood Timberlands to find out what's going on with those rascally bandits. But in the meantime, where can we find you all? I'm going to start out actually with Jacob.
Oh, cool. Well, since I was typing it, I'll just go ahead and say it. Damn, this makes me so miss hitting on Bill. I don't know how. I was typing it, so like my words don't even know how to say them audibly now. But yeah, it made me miss hitting on you. If you ever watch Ukulele, you have no idea what I'm talking about. It probably sounds weird, and that's totally cool too. So, as always, thank you all so much for being here. Jacob Plick is me. Duval King Jacob. You can find me yelling something awesome, hopefully, at Twitter and on Instagram. Of course, co-founded this ridiculous place, and we're not going anywhere, man. And tomorrow, we'll be hanging out, probably wrapping up Pokemon Fire Red, and before we head off on our new journey, Final Fantasy IX, which is really, really exciting. So we'll be hanging out tomorrow night, same bat time, same bat channel, and then Thursday 9 p.m. Eastern time, Blood In Blood Out, our Blaze in the Dark campaign, so make sure to check that out. And then on Sunday, Duval and Dragons episode 41 over on twitch.tv/SoMetaGames. And I'll just end with a tease. Maybe I hang out with Maddie on his channel, but maybe sometime later in the fall we'll be hanging out with Maddie on this channel. Stay tuned.
Awesome. All right, let's kick it over to Rain. What are you doing?
I had a great time tonight, so I always have to start with that. This is it's so much fun.
So fun.
And it's so much fun. And you can find me on Instagram and also on TikTok for all of my cosplay and mermaid adventures under Virgo_Rain. And that's Virgo_Rain, RAYNE. And then me here on Tuesdays, nerding the fuck out.
How about you, Alex? What are you doing between now and then?
Just hanging out. My name is Alex or Ziva. You can find me as Ziva RPG on Twitter and Twitch. Go ahead and drop me a follow. It's been so much fun being here. I love playing this game with you all. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
And last but not least, Mr. PB Smitty.
Hey, I'm Smitty, aka @PBSmitty on Instagram, but mostly on Twitter. So follow me if you want. And also come hang out tomorrow night on So Many Games. I'll be playing my close to retirement Tabaxi detective.
I miss him. Tell him I said hello.
You're welcome back anytime, man. And then, maybe, just maybe, not this Thursday, but next Thursday night at a time to be named later.
September 21st.
What?
Isn't that next Thursday?
No, September 15th.
No.
Oh, shit.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
No, 16th? What is next Thursday?
September 14th.
15th.
Jesus Christ, Bill.
Wow. Woof. I love y'all.
So maybe the 15th. We don't know.
It's the 15th.
Probably on the 15th, maybe on the 24th. Definitely not yesterday.
Yeah.
You can tune in to the triumphant return of AMGM's in the PM.
Yeah,
where
let's
me
go.
and Bill hang out. We just hang out.
Basically
tight
plug each
50.
other for a tight 50.
Tight 50, baby.
Tight 50.
Tight 50. Yep.
Oh,
And I will tell you that I have never laughed as much as I do during AMGs in the PM.
it is really funny. Legitimately amazing.
Any other plugs, Smitty? Because I'm sorry, I kind of interrupted you with purposefully telling you the wrong date.
No, man, I think I'm good. I think that's all the plugs.
Okay,
What do you
cool.
got, Bill?
I got this next Tuesday, so I am basically going to be like recapping a lot of this stuff. I'm going to be writing up the notes. I'm going to be sending out the notes to our Ko-fi subscribers, and then I am going to be writing up the stuff for next week. I tell you, y'all, I wrote like probably 4 pages of notes for this session, and we got to
Nice.
none of it.
We were in the garden. The garden, the library.
You gave me a library. What do you want me to do?
You know where it was? It was behind the 2 doors. That's where
There we
all
go.
of the stuff was.
That's where all
Come
the
on.
that's where the battle map was, etc. Yep.
Exactly.
Um,
But also to be clear, I was the one who gave you the library. I was like, yeah, there's a library, sure.
That's true.
Absolutely, of course there's a library.
That's true.
Of course there's a library.
That's true.
And I was
That's
just
true.
like, oh,
Take the
Bill had
credit.
to- Bill had to
Go for
axe-
it.
You had to axe the entire like combating literacy arc of this campaign now.
yeah.
But yes, I will be joining PB Smitty on September 15th, probably sometime in the evening, because it is going to be called the AMGMs in the PM.
Yeah.
And we tried in the AM before, and nobody woke up for that. So we're trying.
It was as
also
early,
not
to be
enough.
fair. Y'all did
Yeah.
have a crowd for a little while though.
Just so everyone's clear, though, at no point did we consider changing the name of the show to the PMGMs.
I respect it. I really do. I think it's the move.
That's a good idea.
No, it's not. The brand is AMGMs.
Anyway, otherwise you can follow me on Philadelphia at Twitter. But before we head out, we have a couple of things that we want to mention, but I will absolutely not do it justice. So I am going to pass it over to Duval for the passionate outro, as well as, we're going to rate somebody?
We are definitely going to rate somebody. We're going to rate our boy, friend of the show, Lonzo Gunzo, who's, boy, what a palate cleanser that'll be. He's placed in Division 2. But before that, we here at the Amphitheater like to remind you of a few really, really important things, and that is to remind you that Black Lives Matter, stop AAPI hate, trans rights are motherfucking human rights. If you do not have a uterus, you don't get to fucking tell people with uteruses what the fuck to do with them. Shut the fuck up, it's not your uterus. Also, climate change is real. Check it. There's literally plenty of Google things that you can do for that, just so you know. And lastly, and certainly not leastly, when you have the opportunity to 1, free the fucks, and 2, choose love. So, we're gonna get out of here. Let's give Lonzo Gonzo some love, because he is a super awesome guy. So, we love you. We'll see ya very, very soon. Say bye,
Good night,
everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
There's the button. We're out of here.